Hello and welcome back to Patrick Replies, the show on the second channel where I, Patrick, reply to your comments and questions about the latest video. Today, as we continue our 2-year process of trying to catch up on these, we are talking about the flying video, the one that starts being about the dumb reaction online to that shot in a Superman trailer that turned out was definitely not final because it looked very different in the final movie. But anyway, it evolved into a whole thing about like just human flight in movies, getting into like Spielberg and Miyazaki and all these things. And I can't even remember what the actual title of the video is right now because I changed it multiple times and this was a hard one to figure out what to call. So as you can probably tell, this is the first one of these videos I have shot since the most important event of my year, maybe the last like few years of my life, seeing Oasis. It was the best. Our new intern for the fall, Emil, has been telling me that I should, he originally said I should do a video about the Oasis concert, and then we talked about it, and then it became like, should I just do a video about Oasis? Because they're one of the great obsessions of my life. I know we talk about movies on this channel, and this is something different, but I don't know. I'm just like, you know, I've got a lot of thoughts about the Gallagher brothers and their lives and careers, and I've never really had an outlet for them. And so maybe I will make a video about them. It's possible. Anyway, for now, I'm just gonna wear this merch in this video. So the other thing I want to address in this video is the wedding that I was recently invited to in one of the Replies videos. The wedding of Tim and Samantha. The wedding happened 2 days ago, as of me shooting this video, and unfortunately, I was not present for it. What I do want to say is, Tim and Samantha, if you are watching this, I genuinely wanted to be there. I've never gotten an invitation like this before. I mean, I've been to weddings, but like not like this. It was so cool and surprising and generous of you to invite me to this. And I really did look into how to get there. And it turns out that getting to Naples, Idaho, which is basically like as far north in Idaho as you can get, like close to the Canadian border, it turns out getting there from New York takes a really, really long time and is also quite expensive. It definitely involves like multiple forms of transportation, like planes and automobiles are like a multi-day train. And it turns out that this channel is not so successful that I can just like charter a private jet. But I did look into it. I checked in multiple times. Even like the week before, I was like, well, let's check again. What is there a simpler way to get there, to like get there, you know, there and back in like, you know, like a day or so? And it just did not work out. So thank you again for the invitation. I am sorry that I wasn't there. But I hope it was an amazing day. I really do. I hope you had a spectacular wedding. It seemed like it was a beautiful location for it. My best wishes to both of you. Congratulations. And on the day, I was thinking about you guys. So you crazy kids, best of luck with everything going forward. So now we will get to the regular business for these videos, responding to the comments pulled from the YouTube comment section by Elliot Gammons, and let's see what we've got in this video. CG4432 says, as of today, has little footage of Superman flying. Superman trailer drops the same day. That is true. This video, which, you know, talked about how little footage there was of Superman at that point, did drop on YouTube the same day that a brand new longer Superman trailer also dropped. But here is the thing. As you're probably aware by now, if you're not aware, then you will be in a moment. Earlier this year, we switched to a new release format where the videos are always one video ahead on Nebula. So the videos drop first on Nebula, and then like a month later, they drop on YouTube. So if you watch a video on YouTube and you see where it says like, next time, this, well, when you're watching that video is already out on Nebula. And so when every video drops on YouTube, I finished it a month ago. And so I have like so mentally moved on. So you're talking about how this video came out the same day as the Superman trailer. The thing is, this video really came out a month before the Superman trailer. So look, I think there are many very good reasons to join Nebula if you haven't already, provided you can afford it. I think it's a great company. I really believe in it. I've been working on, I think, cool stuff there for a while. I'm working on cool stuff there now. As you may have recently seen in Variety, I was just named the director of scripted development. And so obviously, I'm very invested in this company. But also the real selling point is just like, you don't have to wait a month to watch the new videos. Don't you just want to watch them as soon as you can? Like that's it. So while everyone else is talking about the James Bond video, you can be like, I watched that shit a month ago. I'm on to the digital de-aging video. Anyway, I'm done doing a commercial for Nebula. Next up, HF How says, obviously media literacy is at an all-time low, but man, that Superman reaction is just bleak. I saw someone try to explain how bad the color correction was since the snow had blue shadows and blue highlights, which is just literally how snow looks during magic hour. The sky is mostly blue, so the snow is reflecting blue. The incuriousness some people have now is just not the kind of nerds I grew up with. Yeah, look, the internet has done a lot of bad things, and what I'm about to name is not the worst by any means. It's really far from the worst, but it drives me insane how, Reddit and YouTube have made so many people think they know, about just film and, how filmmaking works and how, film analysis works. And then also just, how the film industry works and what is happening at major studios. Because so many people speak so confidently about this stuff and they have no idea what they're talking about. And it's annoying. Anyway, Marigold's the Movie says, one of my favorite flying scenes in movies is when Buzz Lightyear flies at the end of Toy Story, or as he calls it, falling with style. Yes, he's a toy, but he's a humanoid toy, and he shares the same inability to actually fly as real humans. It feels so cathartic and joyful, especially after that devastating scene earlier in the movie when he attempts to fly out the window and instead collapses, both literally and mentally. There's a reason it's one of the most iconic shots in all of Pixar's filmography. Completely agree, and I did think about including the climax of Toy Story in the video, but at the end of the day, it's not flying. It's falling with style, and so did not qualify. But just beautiful, transcendent, perfect scene. J Cubed says, just my opinion, but what has always drawn me to Spider-Man is that web swinging is effectively flying, but infinitely cooler. It may be limited by the environment, but it has a certain tactile feel with its visible active decision-making. I don't think you get that anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna say that web slinging is cooler because I think they're just very different. Because fundamentally, flying is about defying gravity and transcending that natural law of physics. And web slinging is so dependent on gravity. It's all about gravity. It's Spider-Man is constantly falling and then swings up again and falling and swings up again. And it's I think the best web slinging really takes advantage of the gravity. It's look, this movie is bad, but that opening section of Amazing Spider-Man 2, with Paul Giamatti stealing the armored truck, but mostly it has such good web slinging, that first part where Spider-Man is just falling out of the sky and you see the wind rippling at his costume. It's great. It's great. So yeah, I'm not even comparing it to flying because I think they're two different things, but I love them both. Gabriel Satter says, I liked the way the Thunderbolts did it. They weren't obsessed over close-ups. They pulled the camera away back, but you could still see that it was a little dude floating around. More scope than you usually see. Yeah, I think this is talking about the Sentry / the Void, in the third act. And I do think it's well done. And also, part of this is that he's kind of the villain. And so, it's being shot from the main character's perspective, and they are on the ground looking at this guy from a distance. And so, I think that's a big part of why it's shot that way. But yeah, you do also there see what is also, inherently scary about looking up and seeing someone just hovering over you defying gravity. It's compelling stuff. Okay, Grim the Pleasant says, generally Age of Ultron isn't the best, but the contrast between the flight of Vision, Iron Man, and Thor is interesting for their characters, and giving their best pseudo-explanations of flight. Vision is reality violation, so just sort of floats with less care of physics. Iron Man is meant to be thrusters, so very physics, and Thor is magic, but also often hauling himself through the air with Mjolnir, thus crazy momentum arcs that are pulling with it. Yeah, I gotta say, Age of Ultron is one of these movies that is really imperfect, but the more time goes on, I feel like everyone kind of realizes these like interesting, idiosyncratic things about it. I think there's a lot there. And look, the Vision rocks. And especially like when he shows up, we're so used to the very physics-based Iron Man flying that suddenly this android just kind of stepping up into the air and defying the laws of nature, feels really profound. Yeah, I think it's well done. I do. I like the Vision. Ted Danson. Oh, Ted Danson watches these videos and he looks like a 30-something bearded guy? Interesting. Patrick's strength to not make a joke correcting Steven Spielberg on Batman's ability to fly is the real miracle of this episode. Even more miraculous than flight itself. Yeah, there's that Spielberg quote when he talks about fictional characters flying and lists Batman in there. I was a little annoyed when I saw that quote because I'm just like, look, I'm not gonna comment on it. But I know people in the comments section are going to comment on it, and Steve, you were saying that a year after the '89 Batman came out. You knew that Batman couldn't fly. Come on. Unless you're talking about in the Batwing, which but come on, that's a plane. Stevie, you know better. Denim Ac says, that awkward novel shot after anyone can like or dislike anything. Not only was that deliberate, it was written into the script. Arthur Crane says, in the spirit of Superman and the newly released trailer yesterday, I think the eyes up here moment really helps sell Superman's flight, as he takes off straight up and the camera quickly follows behind, going from 0 to 100 in the same shot. Yeah, I think that shot is great. It's funny doing this video now because I made the original video back when there was only a teaser for Superman and then one TV spot, and now the movie's out and we've all seen it. And so there's so much more to talk about. In general, I quite like the flying in Superman. I think this is one of these funny things where it's no one could have asked these questions in the comments at the time because the movie wasn't out yet. But now I imagine people probably do want to know what I have to say about Superman, or at least the flight in Superman. In general, I quite like it and think it's quite effective. And really, a lot of the stuff I said in the video does apply. One moment that doesn't quite work for me is when he flies back to the Fortress of Solitude. I think after the news about his Kryptonian parents comes out, and there's that part where he's flying really intensely, and shot with the super wide angle lenses, and he's got his arms out and the camera's kind of moving around him. I understand that the intent of that shot, to just show him flying as recklessly and intensely and fast as he possibly can. It didn't quite communicate the speed and force to me in the way I think it was intended. I thought it was a slightly awkward execution, but I think that was the only one I really bumped up against in the whole movie. The rest I thought was pretty great, and I liked the movie quite a bit. A redhead DeVito says, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson is to blame for the nerds overanalyzing every shot you lamented. When he made the observation that the stars were not in their correct positions in that Titanic scene, it gave license to dorks around the world to do the same thing for every movie. We cannot lay this all at the feet of a single person. The rise of pedantic nitpicking. Really, so many people are responsible. Obviously, CinemaSins plays a role. Neil did not help things at all. And his little, Twitter observations, after a movie came out, they were never fun. Always annoying. Dude, just don't watch movies. Justin Starr Photography says, I hope whenever you do your mailbag comments episode on this, which we're doing right now, you mention Chronicle. Not only does it portray humans flying, but there is also a brief discussion amongst the characters of how they do it. Excellent episode as always. Thank you. Yeah, as for Chronicle, Josh Trank's Chronicle, written by Max Landis. I saw it when it came out in was that 2012? It's a while ago. Yeah. Man, Michael B. Jordan, Dane DeHaan. I remember enjoying it and thinking it was good, and I have not seen it since then. And I fully forgot that they actually gave a physical science explanation for how flight works. Should have rewatched it. Also, now I'm just really curious. Does it hold up? How is it? Because yeah, at the time I remember being seeing the trailers for it and being like, oh, so now they're doing found footage with superhero movies. And then I was rolling my eyes a little bit, and the reviews were good, and I went to see it, and I was like, oh, that was pretty good. Wonder what this Josh Trank guy is gonna do next. 43BG1. Excellent video as always, thank you very much. Extreme Greek mythology nitpicking incoming, oh boy. Perseus is related to Pegasus, but he flies using winged sandals that are a gift from the gods. Pegasus is actually born from Medusa's blood when he kills her. The hero that tames and rides Pegasus in order to kill the Chimera is named Bellerophon? That feels right? Bellerophon? I should know that. From reading books of Greek myths as a kid, I have absolutely no memory of Bellerophon, or however you pronounce it. Obviously, I should know the thing of right, Perseus has the winged sandals, and then he decapitates Medusa, and then Pegasus climbs out of her body through her neck hole. Isn't that how it works? Don't worry about the nitpicking here. This is a genuine valid correction that I just got stuff wrong. Also, man, I gotta know more about Bellerophon. How do I not remember this guy? Any movies about him? Okay, Brick Builders MD says, Man of Steel set the gold standard, and this ain't even coming close. That's why people are shredding it. Oh, okay, cool, great. We got some Snyder Bros here. Christopher's Rants says, honestly, I have no interest in this movie, as it seems likely to insult the audience. I was hoping for a straightforward Superman movie, but it appears I won't be getting that. Instead, it seems it will be trite, convoluted, and disrespectful to viewers. These are just funny to me. I mean, the one about Man of Steel set the gold standard, this ain't even coming close. It's just these people who, it's like they had never seen a movie until they saw Zack Snyder's superhero movies, and are just this is the only thing I ever want. Anything that's not this can fuck off. Christopher's Rants, I know I'm very curious. Did he see Superman? Does he feel the same way? Because he thinks it's going to insult the audience and be disrespectful to viewers? What does that mean? What a weird comment. Oh, well, this one is simply attacking me. Jonathan Grant says, so using your lack of taste, doesn't like Hook, as a reference, how do you think you will enjoy Superman? As I established in the video, I am well aware that Hook is a contentious topic. And I am a millennial. I am the exact age where I'm supposed to love Hook. I didn't see it in theaters as a kid because I was too young for that. But I watched Hook a bunch as a kid. But even as a kid, it was never one of my favorite Spielberg movies. And the degree to which millennials cling to Hook and love it so much has always fascinated me. And look, here's the thing. I mentioned in this video, I'm should I just do a video about Hook? Not a Hook sucks video, but more a Hook is so weird and fascinating, and I can't stop thinking about it. Apologies to Hook fans out there. Rewatching it for this video, I was I genuinely was wondering if it is Spielberg's worst movie. Just because I think so many of the major creative choices, so much of the movie, to me, fundamentally does not work. But also, it's not boring. There are moments of brilliance in there, which makes the rest. Okay, I fixed that. But there are moments of brilliance in there that you know, like give you a glimpse of a great movie that could exist. And then I just think he makes like, it's like everything is like miscalculated. And you do look at like the immediate shift in his career after Hook, where it's like he just had to like get it out of his system and then he could move on with things. But like, it's so interesting, and I do want to make a video about it, and it seems like some people would like to see that video. I promise it's not going to be just like trashing Hook. It's just like really like seriously looking at the movie and getting into it. Anyway, I did not address this actual comment. He says, how do you think you will enjoy Superman? I enjoyed Superman a lot more than Hook. I think it's a much better movie. Skako, 2 teams. Skako says, following Nobbles' advice, I waited until the end of the vid before writing my insufferable comment. Thank you. I did miss your mentioning Brewster McCloud by Robert Altman. I hold it as the ultimate flight movie, though utterly pessimistic. I realize it doesn't align with the thesis of this essay, but I nonetheless think it ought to at least have been acknowledged. So here's just the shameful confession that I have not seen Brewster McCloud. So much Altman for me is still a blind spot. Like, I've seen some of the big ones, but not all of them. And I know the 70s period is like, you know, the big period. And yeah, I have not yet seen Brewster McCloud. I will soon. I'm sorry. I will do better. Latveria Cinema says, Zack Snyder made it better. Cry more. And the interesting thing about this is that his little like profile picture is a logo from the Barbie movie, which does not seem like it would be like a Snyder bro, but it is. I don't think I really cried much. I fairly discussed like Zack Snyder's approach, and I wasn't even really negative toward it. I will say, in terms of making Superman movies, Zack Snyder did not do it better. He really didn't. Now that the movie's out, yeah, Man of Steel is way worse, and Superman 2025 is, I think, much better. Oh, it looks like there's math here. Il Salatino says, hey Patrick, great video, but you didn't factor in how wind pressure deforms a human face in flight. While Superman might resist air impact, normal passengers would suffer soft tissue distortion using the dynamic pressure formula. Then there's a bunch of math and science. So we've got like, you know, strong wind sensation, but almost no visible facial deformation. Then we got cheeks and lips start to pull back noticeably, especially if skin is soft. We go on and on. Unless your characters have Steelman biology, you'll need to show or explain how they withstand these effects at high speed. Well, I don't think you need to, because it's a movie, and you know, movies can bend the laws of reality just to make things to make a better reality. But I will say, I think a perfect example of what you were talking about, this thing that we don't often see in movies, is in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1. When Ethan Hunt jumps the motorcycle off of the cliff, the big famous stunt, but then right after that, when it cuts to him falling, and you've got like Tom Cruise shouting, and the wind is like rippling the skin on his face so intensely, and it's the kind of thing like immediately this feels so real, because we never see that in movies. It's like not flattering or sexy, but it's like, it immediately tells us like, oh, this is not being faked. This guy is really falling and trying to deliver these lines while falling really fast. It's great. And also I appreciate that the movie like lets him look goofy there. Like, it's funny, but yeah, that is also why you don't see it more, because they usually don't want things to look goofy. So there you go. I hate to tell you that sometimes movies are not 100% scientifically accurate. Michael Molisani says, How to Train Your Dragon only earned a brief appearance here, likely because it wasn't self-flight, but damn if it isn't the first flight sequence I think of the most. We only had, you know, like one shot of How to Train Your Dragon in there. I believe, was that clip actually from How to Train Your Dragon 2? I will say, so I like How to Train Your Dragon. I think it's quite good. I'm also like, I realized that those movies are huge with people who were like 10 years younger than me. They were like they hit them right at the right time. And those are just like, you know, major canonical movies to like their lives and childhoods. How to Train Your Dragon 1 came out like my senior year of college. 2 came out when I was like, living in the city a few years later, and I never saw 3, and I did not see the live action remake. So yeah, so I think like 1 in particular is quite good, but I don't have like the same connection to them that people a bit younger than me do. So I am sorry, but I'm glad that you appreciated the inclusion of the one shot. Carrie Rogers says, no wonder you and Griffin Newman are such good friends. What a time to talk about how much you both don't like Hook. This is funny because Griffin and I literally hung out yesterday, and I don't think we have ever talked about Hook. Yeah. I think he has more of a beef with it than I do. So I also hadn't seen it in full in a long time until I watched it for this video. But yeah, we've never discussed Hook. We should. And okay, and that is the end of the comments from YouTube. Wow, and only a few obnoxious ones, and honestly, they were pretty funny. So this means now we go over to the questions from the Ask Patrick channel on our Discord server. I now will say what I'm obligated to say every single time, and I'm not really obligated to, no one is making me say this, but we have a Discord server. It's available exclusively to members of the Patreon. I do, like, if you can justify it, and if you like what we do here, I do encourage people to join the Patreon, because really, it's just like, it really supports the channel and helps us pay everyone who works on the channel. Like our new intern, Emil. And then of course, once you're a member, you can access the Discord and just join us all in like talking about movies and stuff, and it's fun. And there is a channel there called Ask Patrick where you can submit questions for these videos. And I'm gonna answer some right now. Actually, first I'm gonna take a sip of wine. Lovely. Jen Jordan, wonderful alliterative name, says, really loved the flying video. Thank you. I'd love to know what you think about the role played by the actor performance in the success of a flight scene. Is that scene in Hook so effective among the other factors you mentioned because of Robin Williams' ability to express a childlike sense of joy and excitement? Yes. This is something that I didn't really get into in the video, but I feel like I should have now, because I do think an element of like, the power of like flight scenes, especially of like first flight scenes, is just watching people react to this like incredible new ability and react to, transcending or defying gravity. That shot in Hook, let me praise Hook for a moment, but that shot in Hook, the one kind of like looking down where Peter Pan kind of like flies along and then like turns over and has his hands behind his head and just looks so happy. I think it's really wonderful. Look, watch this. I'm even gonna praise Man of Steel now. I love the flight scene in Man of Steel and just actually seeing, for the only time in the movie, a Superman like happy and smiling and laughing and like expressing like a real, like genuine, relatable human emotion. I think that's a big part of what makes that scene so effective. I'm sure if I could suddenly like levitate and take off, I would just start giggling like an idiot because I was just, like overwhelmingly happy. And so yeah, I do think it, not just the performance of the actor, but also just like, having the flying person like express like a real human emotion, because who among us wouldn't? Okay, next, Crantastic says, hi Patrick, Sinners had what has become my favorite usage of flight in cinema. The shot of the lead villain simply floating down into frame in the background. It is so simple and minimalist, yet genuinely caught me off guard, and I'm not someone who gets frightened easily. Did you consider putting in depictions of flight in your video going toward the other end of the spectrum of bombasticity? The first Mary Poppins comes to mind. And do you have any thoughts about flight and or superhuman motion in horror cinema? Okay, so when you say the other end of the spectrum of bombasticity, I think that you mean just kind of like floating, just like kind of casual floating. I didn't bring up Mary Poppins because I will say I skipped those because they kind of seem like so magical and so removed from like regular, I guess, like regular physics or whatever, where for instance, like Mary Poppins just kind of like floats out, like out of the sky and down, and then she goes back up. And there's really like no more flight in the rest of the film. I will say, in terms of Sinners, a trope that I love in vampire cinema is vampires having like a mild ability to fly. Kind of like in Sinners, it's like they're not like zipping around the sky, but just the like levitating, or just being able to like rise up a little bit. You know, obviously there's like the iconic, you know, Salem's Lot scene with like the little kid like floating outside the window, where it's like, you know, it's not making them full like, you know, like superhuman, giving them like, you know, like Superman-esque flight, because like that's a step too far. But just the like slightly unnatural, just like, you know, like rising up from the ground, there is a potential eeriness to it. Even like going back to the comment about Thunderbolts, there is something about like, you know, if you want to present a superhuman character as like threatening or scary, I think it's scarier if they are just like hovering in the sky, as opposed to them like flying around with a lot of motion. Just this simple, casual, like I am like above you, and I can, you know, I am not tied down by gravity like you are, and I am more powerful than you, and you are, you know, a weak, fragile human cowering before me. I think that can be pretty scary. Yeah, obviously, you know, there's plenty of the like, oh, what if Superman was bad depictions. That's been used there plenty of times. But yeah, no, I think Sinners does it really, really well. And it's just, with vampires in movies or just like vampire fiction, you know, there's so many different aspects of vampire lore, and every new incarnation really kind of like can pick and choose what they want to use. Like, are they going to use the has to be invited inside thing, or will they just discard that? What are the, like, you know, how do the vampires react to sunlight? But I love the like the very like, you know, mild or like low key flight. That's one that I think is really cool. Kelstar says, I really appreciate your nod to the long-lost Pedro Pascal meme. That and the Wicked quote really made me laugh. Thank you. I believe it was our own Mike Curran who wrote the joke with Wonder Woman 1984 isn't very good, but it could be better. And then I made sure to like watch the clip of him in the movie to get the hand motions right. But yeah, hey, you know, good meme. It was a good meme. And the Wicked quote, though, I think the one with like the quote page and having it written out, I also didn't write that. I think Mike might have written that as well, but if Jake did, I'm sorry, Jake. And now, our final question from Discord comes from Finn Delamata May, who says, hi Patrick, 2 overdue questions for different videos. I believe the second one was already answered in an earlier video, but he says, regarding the video on flight, Crantastic asked earlier about Sinners and Remek's minimalist flight effects in that film. No sound or environmental effects, just an eerie levitation. And I think that this is also my favorite kind of flight, at least with villains, for characters like Homelander or Voldemort or Yubaba. Just seeing them casually break physics without even blinking really highlights the power imbalance and makes them terrifying. Any thoughts on the best implementation of flight when it comes to villains? I literally just answered this. We're totally on the same page. You know, obviously you mentioned Homelander, another, you know, a classic like evil Superman analog. Voldemort, Yubaba, also good examples. We're on exactly the same page. Like, yes, you're saying what I was just saying. I don't think I have anything else to add. I don't need to repeat myself. So that does it. And now we come to my favorite part of these videos, the physical mail, where I just get to open stuff instead of having to answer serious real questions. So as you probably know, we have a PO box. The address for it is in the description of this video and every video and on the about section on the channel. It's very easy to find. If you want to send us anything to open in these videos, or if you just want to send us something that is not opened on camera, I just make a note of that. But anyway, only one thing today. It is this triangular tube box from Texas. Ooh, and there is what looks like a rolled up stuff. Okay, is this everything in there? Okay, these look like movie posters. Oh, hell yeah. Folks, I just realized what is here. Holy shit. Folks, folks, we have, oh my god, this is just a whole collection of movie posters. I believe these are from a theater. We've got the Better Man poster. And it's like the double-sided one, like, you know, like a proper theater poster. Ooh, that is great. Obviously, music biopics video out now on Nebula. I love Better Man. Okay, we've got more stuff here. We've got Sinners IMAX mini poster. We've got mini poster The Day the Earth Blew Up, which is awesome if you have not seen it. A feature-length Looney Tunes movie, 1,000 times better than Space Jam. We've got my boy Paddington in Peru. We have a movie that I did not even see, but I've heard is very good. Small things like these with Cillian Murphy. Look how big his head is. Look at that. We've got Gladiator 2. We've got more Gladiator 2. Wicked 3D mini poster. An ad for Regal Unlimited. Warning, laser projection in use. And finally, we have a letter. Hello, Patrick. Hope you are doing well and the dinner plan is going well. I can't recall if you are in post-production or not. Well, currently, we are done with post-production because the movie is finished. Anyways, love the videos, especially the hard-hitting ones where you go after David Zaslav, RIP the TCM Wine Club. I worked at my second movie theater from 2023 to May of 2025 until I was fired for some BS. Fuck those guys. And I have collected around 60 posters or so. I've sold a few and given a few away, and I've been happy to, as the theater is wasteful as hell and throws them away. How dare they? These are all late 2024 to early 2025 posters that I feel you will appreciate. I also have a big Brutalist banner I have no idea what to do with. Hope the rest of your year is great, and I hope you reach the Patreon goal for that Avatar video. Riley, aka Dade Murphy, on the server. P.S. Death to Nobbles. Well, Riley, I do really appreciate all of this, but also don't be rude to Nobbles. He's trying his best. And I, off camera, love him. Look, the Patreon goal for the Avatar video, here's the thing. We have goals on the Patreon that I feel like we will never reach because Patreon, the Patreon just tends to I don't promote it very much, so it tends to decline over time. But we have goals on there where there are certain videos I'll make if we reach this number of people. And yeah, one of them is a video about Avatar that I will shoot at the world of Pandora at Disney World. Somehow, I'll find a way. But anyway, this is one of those times where I wish that we had an office so that I could hang up all these posters. But this is amazing. These are so cool. The Better Man poster I will absolutely find a place for. And for now, I think that's all. We did it. Thank you for all the great comments and questions. Riley, thank you for all the posters. I'll see you next time. Bye.